BrainDead is about how politics right now is ludicrous. Truly, in the literal meaning of ludicrous, it is that going on right now.
Some days it feels like we're making a documentary. You just stay with satire, and hopefully that takes care of itself.
It's one of those bizarre and spectacular ideas, and bold in a way that you don't really know what to expect from it.
BrainDead came about because 2 years ago there was a government shutdown, and it felt like it was a little bit insane. It didn't feel like it was strategy was the point of it. It felt like it was a real rush of emotion on both sides, by the way, Republican and Democrat. So there has been this feeling recently that extremism has entered both sides of the aisle. One of the things to do is try to find an entertaining angle on this insanity. And, you know, in the same way Dr. Strangelove or The Hospital found a comic spin on something that is fairly dramatic and boring.
Not dissimilar to The Good Wife, where I think in the initial, very brief pitch of what this was, it seemed like an idea that had to happen and was shocking that hadn't already happened. And frankly, there's nobody more sort of genius to write this, especially coming off of, you know, what the experience on Good Wife was. You know, the currency of their writing, the immediacy of social, political, economic realities of what's going on in the world at that time. But isn't this a wonderful, bizarre, and perverted twist on it? And it's like, yes.
This is a disaster.
The premise of BrainDead is that something has gone wrong in Washington, D.C., that the politicians are not acting sane anymore, and their staff seems to have gone crazy, and this show tries to explain why.
94 minutes. That's all that stands between us and fiscal Armageddon. All because, as many believe, Republicans have collectively lost their minds.
And it happens that there was a meteor that crash landed in Russia, and parts of it were sent to the Smithsonian Institute. And because it happened right when there was a budget shutdown, these bugs got loose. Bugs about the size of ants. They shouldn't be scary on their own, but these trail of bugs wait till you're asleep, crawl into your ear, and disgorge a half of your brain. And that half of your brain seems to control your ability to not be extremist. So it's about how extremism in Washington, D.C. is killing the ability to get anything done.
In our mind, we wanted something that seemed very innocent to look at singularly, but as a mass, you could see the danger. And also, you know, these were something that needed to get into your brain.
But we were also playing off the idea that part of the scares in life are the scares of seeing an ant trail in your kitchen at night, turning on the light and go, oh crap. It's those kind of things that can get under your door and seem very innocent. And we needed people to see it and not think, oh, this is from outer space or from something alien, that this is just an ant trail that just looks a little odd. So I think that was it, is playing off the scares coming from a very human level, which is that Hitchcock thing. It's not the scare of the 12-eyed monster. It's a scare of something the size of an ant. We had a visual effects. They built this. It's not an ant, but it has enough of the characteristics of it that we really wanted it to possibly be confused with ants.
The scariest thing I've ever seen in movies was in Wrath of Khan.
Yes. Right.
Invading things into your ear, yeah, not fun. Next to leeches.
And numerous people, by the way, working on the show have come up to me and said, oh, I had my first bug dream last night.
So we're proud.
I think it's going to be tough to beat a brain coming out of Tony Shalhoub's head.
Now, the other part of the premise is about Mary Elizabeth Winstead's performance as Laurel, and Laurel is a Hill staffer. She came in, she hates politics. She's part of a political dynasty. Think the Gores, think the Bushes, and she has left for LA and wanted to start her own life, had nothing to do with politics. But to help out her brother, who's the Senate whip, the Democratic Senate whip, she starts to work in his office. She works in what's called constituent casework. And as she tries to help people, she falls in crush with a Republican staffer, a legislative director for the top Republican senator, and they carry on a bit of a clandestine relationship as this other unearthly thing is going on.
Check his ears. She says there's something in his ears. It's gonna be okay.
The tone of the show is probably a little bit Men in Black. I would say we love going in a show being surprised by, thinking something serious and then laughing and finding something serious. I think people will be familiar with that with The Good Wife. What we wanted with the show is to go from joke to drama and not see any difference.
We always enjoyed the satiric elements in The Good Wife, and I think we just doubled down on those. And we always loved the political element of The Good Wife. The new part is the sci-fi, which is fun. It's just a completely different area for us.
I think unexpected is part of sort of a wonderful defining aspect of what is so unpredictable about the show could be, wondering how far the show will go.
And then Tony Shalhoub that takes you into Men in Black territory. I mean, it's really fun for us because it's unexpected, and we think it will be fun for the audience because you have to kind of raise your head above the crop of TV shows. There are so many TV shows, and you have to do something a bit different to yell above all that.
First question is, what kind of America will it be when it's all over?
Each episode we go one day to DC. We've been watching a lot of DC set shows and movies over like 40, 50 years. And we were surprised how little of DC you see. And then we tried to shoot there and realized why that is. It is a very hard place to shoot. But what we did was we got these very telling locations that could only be DC. And for the rest of it, we have Steve Jordan, who did these amazing sets, in my opinion. Production designer who did these sets that I think we always wanted a white columned theme. So everything is very bright white. There's very little mess, a few wall hangings even. And the other thing is we're doing a post-production process of, this is sad to say, DC is cleaner. So the columns are bright white, and when you shoot columns in New York, they're kind of darkened by car exhaust and years. So this post-production process turns what's gray white.
I think Washington plays a big role in the film. We went and shot a few days recently in DC, and we're going to continue to do that as the show progresses to get some great exteriors so we can really feel the magnitude of what it's like there. I mean, just the monuments and the buildings and the columns, it really feels unlike anywhere else in the US. It has a very specific grandness to it, and I think we really want to feel that on this show, the scope of that and how it kind of makes you feel very small when you're there. And I think we want to feel that, and we are feeling that on the show.
I think one of the highlights is Mary playing Laurel, who's just gotten bugs in her head and has to use the right side of her brain to get them out. And so everything's intuitive, both in singing a Partridge Family song and also jumping on the bed to Bollywood musicals. In a show that is so logical and about government, to suddenly have this 10-minute sequence that is about illogic and insanity is just, I thought, hilarious.
Laurel has a condition where she needs a burst of dopamine.
Excuse me?
Given that there's so much TV, people are looking for something, I think, new now. And if they know right up front, oh, this is a drama or this is a comedy, they kind of know what to expect. But it's always fun when you can mix those and mix violence with a joke now and then. We've always been attracted to those kind of movies and TV shows. So I hope other people like that too, because that's what it is.